Welcome back to Character Select. Dave and Savin back for more Pillars of Eternity. When looking for madness, go amongst mad people, right, Savin? That's how that works?
Yeah, and there's definitely going to be a lot of misery in the asylum.
Yay! I'm so glad.
I bet they have very modern standards and practices here.
Sure.
We see one leech, I swear to God. Do we talk
Might
to
see a soul leech.
You may have a member...
I think you already did this.
I did not, because it's not grayed out.
Alright.
We came in here, we dealt with Adair's awakening, and told them, hey, Isilmir's fine. Just
I mean Aloth. I mean, they're the same actors. I can understand the confusion.
You may have a member of the Leaden Key in your midst. Ethelmore. Ethelmore groans and the statue around him shudders. I could have done without hearing about that today. Many have their intrusions been into our affairs. Of course, one can seldom be certain whether they've meddled or whether calamity has struck on its own. But a few of their less skilled infiltrators have been exposed from time to time. They're a perpetual nuisance. Once again, I am reminded of how envious I am of your gifts. I suspect they would be of some use in verifying one's identity. You are at odds with the Leaden Key as well, I take it? They're up to something, and I'm trying to determine what. They are always up to something. Of that you may rest assured. If their plots have come to involve you, you have my sympathies. They haven't really, though, have they? Like,
I mean, they cause you to awaken and stuff.
Right, but we're not part of their plot. We're like a side effect.
Yeah, you're collateral damage.
That they honestly don't even really know about.
So far, yeah.
Huh. Do you have some idea of who this person might be? It would be unwise to consider anyone above suspicion. Very well. In that case, I would recommend you speak first with our resident animancers. They have frequent interactions with both patients and colleagues. You'll find them up here or in their offices downstairs. You will report anything suspicious to me immediately. This is my only request. All right, see ya. So we've got Oddmer here, who's giving a lecture.
Gods keep you.
What is it you do here? Close as we are to the Glanfathan Wilds, we get a number of bioic maimings every year. Survivors dealing with complications from exposure. This fellow here is a severe case. His essence is a mere whisper of what it was. I'm early in my research, only beginning to understand how they work, but in time I hope to find a way to protect people from the storm's effects. Alright, cool. He seems above reproach. That's fine.
Very thorough, very thorough.
Yeah, ask him one question. He seems to have knowledge. I mean, this isn't stealing. Oh, it's just a fucking book. Who cares?
What did you expect to find in the bookcase, Dave?
Magic scrolls.
Well, that's actually fake.
Okay, so nobody here. There's a bunch of animancers there. I'm assuming that this person is going to have a unique name, so...
That's a nice assumption.
I am now going to eat a Dorito. Hashtag not sponsored by Dorito.
I was eating a cheese stick mere moments ago.
Mozzarella
but I have
cheese stick?
RTX voice, so you can't hear me. Yes, it was.
Not a fan of
delicious.
those. Not a fan of those.
Well,
I'm not a fan
no
of
counting for
mozzarella
taste.
on its own, I guess.
I could eat just a fucking bag of that shit.
Gotta go with the sharp cheddar. It's my favorite. That's my jam. Which, according to Hedra, is like saying that you like to eat the dirt off the ground in terms of cheeses. And I'm like, fuck you, sharp cheddar.
It's just the basic bitch of cheese. It's fine.
An animancer scribbles feverishly on a parchment scroll while his free hand dances through the air, counting off unseen objects. His lips move in silent discourse. As your shadow falls across his scroll, he looks up at you with mingled perplexity and irritation.
Good day to you.
Can I help you? He forces a polite smile. What are you working on? My area of focus is Wicks?
Whips.
Wits.
Wicks.
Wict. Okay. More specifically, how to cure them. What's a wict? A hollowborn who received a transplanted animal's soul during infancy. One of Animancy's early efforts to cure the legacy, if not a successful. They show signs of developmental abnormalities throughout their childhood, but when they reach adolescence, they become aggressive, feral, but still victims in need of care. Transplanting animal souls into children seems like an odd solution. We Animancers were trying to do something about the crisis, better than letting it swallow a generation of children. He stares at a fixed point in the far wall. Despite the controversy, it only went so far because at first it seemed to work. People called it the salvation. The children that had never been responsive to any kind of stimuli suddenly seemed aware of their surroundings, of their families. The complications don't begin until puberty. That's when the incompatibilities between body and soul take shape. Children become violent, ravenous. We paid dearly for our mistake, I promise you. Angry mobs hunted down Animancers and burned down their homes, with them still inside, often as not. People took to calling it the cruel salvation, and many still loathe us for it. But we wanted to stop the legacy as much as anyone. The public begged for our help, and we did the best we could. I still don't know if that absolves us. Why do you study wits? What kind of question is that? Just think of all the families that could be healed, the lives that could be restored. What could be more important? Animancy has an answer here. I know it. It's simply a matter of working it out. I see. Good. Has anything unusual been happening around here? You must be joking. This is the sanitarium. Nothing is unusual down here. Although now that I think of it, the patients seem more agitated lately. But they're Cademan Azo's responsibility, not mine. I'll be on my way. Cademan Azo, huh?
Yep.
Let's see if we can't find him.
But yeah, putting animal souls into the hollowborn children, that shit's messed up.
I mean, if you're desperate, right? Ooh.
I gotta do something to save your kiddos.
Ripley, I require more copper tubing for my next experiment. Do not requisition it from the sanitarium stores. I don't have the time to deal with Ad Warden's inevitable questions. Cademan Azo. Huh.
Hail, traveler.
Never mind. Alright. So Cademan Azo seems to be agitating the prisoners and has requisitioned copper tubing for reasons unknown and doesn't want people to know about it.
And you learned in Aloth's session that copper is attuned to soul magics.
Mm-hmm. Which, to be fair to everybody out there that's watching this, 2 to 3 days after the last episode, for us was like 4 weeks ago. So
yeah.
Also, I honestly forgot this guy was the statue. Have you learned anything of interest? Maybe. Is Cademan Azo running experiments on the patients here? Experiments? Cademan Azo is in charge of patient welfare now. He's not authorized to run any more experiments. I am disappointed in Cademan. I had hoped he would be the one to guide your inquiry. He'll be in his office or in the patient wards. I'm granting you immediate access so you can find him. No doubt you'll wish to speak to him further on this matter. And I, for one, am curious as to what he might have to say. Tread carefully in the wards. There are a few dangerous cases. I would also ask that you do your best not to agitate the patients. They have enough troubles as it is. Alright. I'm so glad that completely unlicensed psychiatric professors of sword and steel are going into the patient ward. When we do a lobotomy...
It's probably fine.
When we do a lobotomy, it's precise and often fatal. Oh, God. Yay. Alright, okay, there's a lie. Why is there a flesh construct here?
Well, why wouldn't there be? It's just a flesh construct, Dave. Don't be a bigot.
I'm sorry, it's a fucking Frankenstein.
Yeah, and it's part of the staff. Don't stare.
I want to talk to it. Oh.
Brr.
Curved spine twists this woman's posture forward, her greasy hair draped over her large eyes like vines. She smiles at you. You must be visiting someone. Then, noting your appearance, she adds, a friendly visit, I hope. Do you know where I might find Azo? I think I've seen him around today. Have you checked the laboratory? Which, by the way, correct pronunciation of laboratory. There's definitely an O between that B and that R. It shares a wall with his office. He's been spending most of his time there lately. What do you know? What do you know about this Animancer, Azo? Oh, I like him very much. Many Animancers could care less about their patients. Look at us like vermin for their experiments. But Master Azo treats us like humans, even the very sick. You can tell he does this to help people. He's helped me understand a great deal about myself, and I know he's done the same for others. It's too bad what they did to him. He hides it well, but I know he's still affected by it. Is this gonna get creepy? Are we in a horror movie now? Is this Outlast?
David's an Obsidian game. It's always creepy.
That's true. What happened to Azo? Frail's eyes dart back and forth. Her voice lowers to just above a whisper. They don't like to talk about it, but there was an accident. He was said to be one of the brightest in Deerwood. That was his reputation here, and that was what brought me to seek treatment. People say it was ego that drove him to try to solve the legacy, but that's hogwash, even if he was a bit of a showman. He loves his homeland. He thought he could help. He wasn't the one to speak of his work. Suspected his colleagues might have tried to steal it. But he told me once he had figured out a way to create a soul. Not a soul exactly, mind you. How did he put it? A proxy, I think he called it. Had some machine that drew energy out of the very ether. Can you imagine? The point is, he was going to help with the legacy. He was going to make Hollowborn into something easier to love and care for. Gods know that's something we need. Do you know what they call those empty little babies in Andra's gift? No, tell me. They call them boys. Boys. I hate that word.
Buoys.
Buoys. They call them buoys because so many of them are found floating face down in the water. These are mad times. Anyway, Master Azo had scheduled a public demonstration of his work in Copperlane. He was so excited. And then the next day he was locked in his office, turning away visitors, I heard. And then he stopped seeing patients. I don't know exactly what happened, and I don't have the heart to ask him, but I'm glad they're letting him treat people again.
But they're not.
Why are you in here? I don't want to say. You'll think less of me. You can tell me. I'm going crazy too. I love that that's tagged as honest.
I mean, you know.
Let me eat this Dorito before I answer that. You can tell me. I'm going crazy too.
Nom, 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 nom.
You shouldn't tease. No one in here can help what they are. I know. I've tried. These last few years haven't been kind to me. They haven't been kind to anyone, really. I try not to think of it as personal. I lost my husband and both boys in the Saints' War. My daughter. The legacy took her before she was ever mine. I made do. What else can you do? I moved into a tiny place called Andra's Gift, got by mending clothes and on the kindness of strangers when I had to. But I was surviving and the gods were watching over me. I could live with that. Then one day this noblewoman comes in, wants this fancy gown fixed. Gorgeous thing, the shade of blue I'd never seen before. Only I had. I looked at it and it reminded me of something. I had what they call an awakening. I remembered being a noblewoman myself in another life. People doting over me, men doting over me. Me! The best food, the most beautiful home, all the things you'd never dare to dream of. They were mine. It was poison knowing that. All those things I had that I'll never have in this life. It did something to me. My food started to taste rotten. The walls of my little room seemed to close in around me. I stopped being able to sleep in my own bed. So I came here. It was that or break into an estate and start ordering servants around. It seems like such a silly thing to worry about. You don't have to tell me, but I can't get past it. And I'm start to wonder, did the gods choose this life for me? And if so, what terrible thing must I have done to deserve it? That's fucked up. So,
Yep.
literally, you look at a dress, and it reminds you of a past life, and then you're absolutely fucking crazy. And this can happen to anybody at any time?
Pretty much.
How does this world function?
Dave, there's a plague going around where babies don't have souls. I'm not sure I'd use the word function here.
That's because they
It
blew up
seems
a
to
god.
be falling apart.
That's
at
because
the seams.
That's because they blew up a god. This awakening shit has been happening for far longer. Nobody deserves to go through what you've gone through. I hope not. I can't even imagine the monster who deserves what half the patients here go through every day. Have any of the patients here been acting unusually? Well, there's Batista, Dave Batista, who relives a murder that she committed more than 5 lifetimes ago. Edelman, who they say only has half a soul and who was found collecting the faces of others because he believed his own to be a false one. Graham, he speaks in a language no one understands and wails at night sometimes. Different from their normal behavior, I mean. Well, yes, I suppose, but nothing they didn't volunteer for. Master Azo let us know that a number of patients in the North Ward had volunteered for a new therapy and would be escorted to his laboratory to receive treatment. The North Ward has our most troubled cases. I'm glad some of them have chosen to get help. It seems to me it's gotten quieter over there since it started. It's Graham I see them taking in the most. He struggles, but he always was a bit of a wild one. Would I be able to visit the North Ward? They like to keep them separate. I don't know that I've ever seen the guards allow a visitor, just Master Azo. You might ask him, he's very sympathetic. Alright. Well, that was a fucking shitload of information. Jesus.
Yeah, this middle act here definitely is most of the plot and world building.
Well, the other thing that I have to wonder... but there's nothing good in here. Oh, sweet sugar. That's probably not covered in bile. The other thing that I have to wonder is, did blowing up the god cause more people to awaken? Because surely the legacy isn't just confined to the people that, are born. There's got to be more of an effect than that, right? Maybe?
It's hard to say. The only effect anyone's ever mentioned so far is the babies.
What's my mechanic skill? I've been playing too many other games lately.
6.
7.
That's
Nice.
Okay, so you'll need a lockpick, I think.
That's fine. Oh, it gives you a
Give me
confirmation.
a real challenge.
That's cool.
Ooh,
Raven
there
Wing.
you go.
Blah, blah, blah.
That's a good weapon.
So, it's got DR bypass because it's a mace that has nothing to do with anything else. Plus 4 accuracy when attacking the same target as an ally. Plus 25% damage when attacking the same target as an ally. Plus 45% damage straight up. Plus 4 accuracy. Damn. That's really good.
Caw.
The question is, who do I give that to? There's no weapon proficiencies, right?
Correct. There's weapon focuses, but I think that's more or less an upgrade for Ed. His current
So he's
flail.
So Graze is converted to hits, 20% of damage restored as endurance.
Yeah, but that's 12 to 17 damage versus
this is
Raven Wing being like,
18 to
its minimum
26.
damage is more than his maximum.
Alright, but I'm going to keep... What is this? Whispers of Yen.
Whispers of Yenwood. That's your anti-ghost weapon.
Right. I am going to give that to Pellegrina. God, I can't words.
So
So
I want to throw that extra shield on her too.
Okay. So she's now anti-ghost ready in the event that we get to anti-ghost times.
Give me a real challenge.
Blade Golan. It's fucking Welsh. I can't speak Welsh.
Yeah.
Minus 50% stun duration, minus 50% knockdown duration, extra defense while stunned, extra defense while proned. And it's DR7, which isn't bad.
That might be Sagan fuel?
DR9.
Nah. Yeah, but no special abilities.
Plus, it's more appropriate for her, you know.
Yeah.
Alright, Cade Meneza. Need to say hi.
What? Why would you quick save? Why are you suspicious of this kind man, Dave?
Because he locked
He's
himself
trying
in
to
a
help.
room and is suddenly experimenting on people without permission. He might be crazy. A round-faced, balding man turns to face you. His upper lip is pulled upwards slightly by his pointed nose, exposing his upper teeth when he scowls. That was a lot of up.
What is the meaning of this?
Aethelmere said to... Wait. I'd like access to the... No, wait. I'd like access to the North Ward. Out of the question. Those patients are in isolation for a reason. Your forehead seems damp all of a sudden. Perhaps I should discuss your insubordination with the head warden.
You smug cretin. How dare you come down here and meddle? You have no idea the importance of my research.
He balls up his feasts.
Beasts.
He balls up his fist and digs his teeth into his index finger. A growl simmering beneath his breath and a deep scowl compressing his face.
Fine. Speak to them for all the good it'll do you. I'm sure the discussions will be fascinating.
He pulls a heavy key from one of his pockets, nearly slams it down on the floor before handing it to you. Should I just go investigate, or should I...
No, you should continue to harass this guy.
Well, Aethelmore told me you're not supposed to be doing any more experiments. Yes, well, Aethelmore hasn't done much good for anybody since he had his soul moved to an inanimate object, so I fail to see why I should let that sway me. If animancers all followed the commands of their leaders, where would we be? We'd all be as backward and willfully ignorant as Raids are us. We would know nothing about life or death, or even ourselves. We would be lost in the dark with no clue as to why. Animancers must push the boundaries of knowledge, but you must be careful, Lazo. Even Defiance Bay isn't as safe for research as it once was. It seems to me that we're still in the dark.
Is that a reason to stop trying? Shall we remain in the dark until the end of time and have the last breath of the last person alive be breathed in ignorance? The gods want us to know. The clues are all around us. In understanding these truths, we honor their creation. Who will solve Widewen's legacy? Some church? Some warrior? It will be an animancer, or it will be no one at all.
Have you tried your experiments on any other subjects? I have, yes. No point in lying about it now that Aethelmere's involved. Ethelmore, whatever. I asked for volunteers from our patients, and a few brave souls came forward. It was very close at one time to a breakthrough. They understood that. They understood their sacrifices would mean something. You were very close at one time, but you're not now? I have questions.
I wonder what happened to get him demoted.
I heard you were demoted. How did it happen? Azo's nostrils flare and he bares his upper teeth more broadly. That's none of your concern. Did one of the others put you up to this? Odmer, that smug weasel. Things went wrong. Everything. I don't know how. I'll never know. He spits on the floor as if to remove a bitter taste from his mouth. All right, see ya. I don't think he's the person in the vision that we saw, though. Because if I remember correctly, the man who waits was restrained.
Yep.
Which does sound like something possibly in the North Ward. How do I get to the North Ward?
Well, go back where you were. There's that whole other door you didn't go through.
Gotcha. Just seems like this is, you know, southeast-ish. Okay. Just gonna calmly make our way past the crazy people.
Good job, buddy.
Oh, there was a door here
I
the
guess
whole
you could have
time.
just walked through there.
Boop.
I want to peek into these cells.
This man has the look in his eyes of a hunted animal, and at your approach he staggers backward to the far corner of his cell, halfway appearing as though he would climb through the walls if it would get him further away from you. He cries out, a bizarre primal utterance, like nothing you have heard. I need to ask you some questions. Graham looks at you blankly. It's unclear whether he understands you or not, but his panic has momentarily subsided. He opens his mouth to speak, but the words that come out are half-formed, as though his tongue were cut out. They are impossible for you to discern, if indeed they are words at all. Aloth makes a noise of disgust. Those animancers did this to them. You could see what comes of their meddling. You're afraid. Do certain visitors make you afraid? He looks at you with uncertainty. Slowly, tentatively, he steps closer to the front of his cell, and as he does so, for the first time you can perceive his soul within your ken. It's misshapen, as though maimed by some jagged instrument, and large expanses of it have been gouged out entirely. You feel no barriers of resistance. If you wanted to, you could look further into Graham's soul. That sounds like a... You know what I love doing, Savin? Seeing a horribly mangled corpse on the ground in front of me and then telepathically peering into the brain and being like, hey, how's it going?
Hey, that's how Watcher's gonna be.
Ugh. Ugh. You project out towards the main soul in front of you, merging with it, its confusion and fear becoming yours as it whisks you into its depths. You're in your cell. A key turns. The door creaks open on neglected hinges. Thoughts come at you in waves, incomplete, broken, fearful. Standing at the door is a rotund, balding man. His upper teeth and pointy nose remind you of a rat. He beckons, apologetic. You don't want to go. Anything else. In your mind is a single word, and the word is no, but it dissolves before it reaches your lips. You press against the back wall, cornered. You cry out. In darkness, you fight against unseen restraints. You cannot move your arms or legs. The man walks into the room carrying a lit candle, its meager flame casting long shadows across books and machinery. Straps bind your arms and legs. Cold metal circumscribes the crown of your head, the breadth of your chest. The man is sorry. He is in need of raw materials. They dismantled his work and he needs another source. He needs to show them he was right. He thanks you. Then he turns a knob and you feel yourself begin to crack from within. You can feel pieces of you torn away, like having your insides chewed by a horde of rats, and you are screaming a scream you can barely hear. Another night. Heavy footsteps outside your door, coming for you. You look through a slit in your door. The flesh giant, the artificial being, just outside but facing left, facing the end of the hall, the boy there. The boy looks with interest at the giant, then collapses to the floor like a shed snakeskin. The giant convulses for a moment, then rights itself, turns away, and leaves. Graham looks at you, still wild-eyed but somehow more present. He nods at you, then walks back to the end of his cell. The fuck? Okay, looks to the left. From there. Oh, that's creepy. Hope you're doing good, Idelman. Sweet. Nice to see you, Dave Bautista. Savin, I need help.
What?
Oh, what is that name?
Uskrim.
Uskrim. A willowy adolescent boy stands in the center of his cell, gawkish and stoop-shouldered. He stares straight ahead, the occasional blink his only movement. It's unclear whether he registers your presence at all behind his glassy, doll-like eyes. I just realized. It's a kid. This is his experiment. In this state, the barriers between your soul and his are thin and porous, easily bypassed if you should wish it. You close your eyes and edge forward toward the boy's soul, and as you near, a sudden malaise comes over you. You are cold and warm all at once, sweating and shivering and straining for breath, as you did on the caravan journey. The soul you approach is the wrong one, a parasitic plant that strangles its host. It is predatory and pitiless, and you have crossed paths with it before. Too late does it occur to you to retract, and already you feel yourself plunging into some interminable abyss of thought and memory. You are standing in a cell now, the same cell, in the sanitarium. The walls are moonlit and empty, and you are waiting. At the far end of the ward, the door opens, revealing a flesh golem in silhouette beneath the stone archway. As it makes its usual rounds, the same stops every time, the misbegotten child of despondent creators. When the construct is close, you coil yourself up and spring forward, passing out of the boy's body as though it were a membrane. You can sense his body behind you collapsing to the floor, a puppet whose strings are cut. You are rushing toward the golem now, bodiless and as a gust of wind. Quickly, you think to yourself quickly, and you feel the strength hemorrhaging from your soul as you dart towards the makeshift abomination. You pass into the golem's shell and overtake the soul implanted within, encircling it, suppressing it, and contained in this new vessel you are strong again. You step heavy-footed down corridors, unheeded by the other constructs and scrutinized only by the wary, untrustworthy eyes of the mad, coming at last to an office piled with books and scribbled papers, and the perverse implements of animancy. You set your oversized hands upon a large machine, a nest of globes and tubes and coils in the center of the room, and go to work, bending wires and unsettling alignments. Your surroundings are pulled past you, or perhaps you are pulled past them, and they dissolve in a blur. When they settle into place again, you are outside on a clear day, standing in front of a crowd stacked high above you on the tiered seats of an amphitheater. You are acting for the crowd, standing deliberately still, but this is no play. A balding man with rodent-like features is strapping you to a machine, the one you had tampered with. You see your arms for the first time, short and fleshy, unmistakably those of a little girl, but this body is not truly yours. Your mind still holds the same determination, the same hard-heartedness as before. The body itself is cold and vacuous. Unlike the others, this one has no soul of its own. The man speaks, and the crowd applauds with an enthusiasm worthy of a hero's entrance. "Bear witness," he says, and he pulls a lever. The machine shivers and sparks, and a bead of sweat rolls down the side of the man's brow. But the crowd's apprehension quickly gives way to awe as the crystal globe fills with a radiant mist that casts the entire theater aglow. He opens a valve, and the glow crawls through a tube along a length of copper wiring that runs to a set of electrodes beneath your armpits. You feel nothing when it reaches you, as it should be, for you have been leading his work astray periodically for some time, altering notes and settings and playing puppeteer for Hollowborn. But you make it look how people would expect it to look when a body is infused with a soul. In a moment, the machine goes dark, and the man unstraps you, eyeing you with a scientist's concern. He looks back up at the crowd. "Behold," he says, but there is obvious hesitation in his voice. Slowly, you take a plodding step forward, then another, and another. You look up at the man, giving him the eye contact of which no Hollowborn is capable, and the crowd gasps. The man looks relieved. "How do you feel?" he asks at a moment meant for the crowd, at a volume meant for the crowd, and this is the moment. At the top of your lungs, you let out a piercing shriek. The man comes towards you, his hands outstretched, but you run the other way, back to the machine. With all your strength, you drive your head into the crystal globe, and it shatters, streaking your head with warm blood. You drive your head down onto the surface of the machine, again and again, drawing panic screams from the crowd. By the time the man reaches you, your body has already ceased proper function, merely twitches on the cold ground. Satisfied, you depart the corpse in search of another unsuspecting host. Who could put their faith in animancy now? You are pulled again from your surroundings, transcending the boundaries of memories and lifetimes. Deeper and deeper past betrayals and murders and lies upon lies form the thick webbing of plots beyond mortal comprehension. You settle at last on a room you have seen before, expansive, with a tall device encasing an Adra monolith at its center. The room is filled with people, and the people all look at the device. You are yanked suddenly back to reality, and the once catatonic boy in the cell is looking directly at you, appraising, calculating. There is no mistaking now that it is the soul of Theos Ix Arcanon, the man you have been searching for, that gazes out from that borrowed husk. A Watcher. I kind of
remember Lady what's her butt? Lady
Spider.
Webb was talking about how he could detach his soul from his body and have a wander.
But then what the hell is he doing here now?
Fucking with Animancy.
But why? That's the question. You made me into a Watcher. I need you to undo it. Is that so? He makes no effort to hide his disinterest, but he continues to search your eyes. He makes a slight grunting noise. His eyes soften for an instant, and it seems for that moment that he recognizes you. He opens his mouth to speak, then seems to think better of what he is about to say. His jaw tightens. I know your look. Your hunger. You hunger. Sorry. I can't. My reading comprehension sucks all of a sudden. Hunger for answers that elude you. It gnaws at your soul. It usurps your reason for being. You are like everyone else. I will help you let go. He dodges backward with startling grace, putting himself out of reach. On his face there is no malice, only the dispassion of a farmer putting down a sick animal. Then, suddenly, he slumps forward. Oh, no. Where did these guys come from?
Flesh golems.
They weren't here before.
Time for a prison riot.
Shit.
Hey, remember that guy who wanted to eat faces? He wants to come get your face.
Alright. Next time on CharacterSelect, this is probably going to happen more than once. Shit, dude. Can't save while in combat. Shit, dude.
Shit, dude.
So thank you very much for watching. Make sure to click that like button down below if you liked it. And Savin.
Shit, dude.
I honestly didn't expect it to be our canon in that fucking cell.